June 22 paper 4 variant 1. أول سؤال ده كان سؤال سهل بيقول لي some students were studying the activity of yeast. They made a fact file as shown. قلنا بقى إن لازم نبقى عارفين الكينجدمز الخمسة كينجدمز اللي عندنا وكل حاجة في كينجدم إيه. فبيقول لي اليست واداني scientific name ومش عارفة إيه والcell structures وكده. State the kingdom in which the yeast is classified. Which kingdom؟ لازم أبقى عارفة ال kingdoms. So I said kingdom fungi. State the processes that occurs in the mitochondria to provide energy. Easy question. What happens in the mitochondria? Aerobic respiration. Yeast cells makes the enzyme sucrase. Sucrase catalyzes the breakdown of sucrose to glucose and fructose. ماشي. Enzymes are made of protein. Explain how the shape of the sucrase is related to its function. I explained this question before. We talked about the enzymes or the antibodies. And we said, why is the structure related or the shape of the enzyme or the antibody related to its function? So the shape of the enzyme is very important for its functioning because it has a specific shape of active site that has to be complementary to the shape of the substrate so they can bind together forming enzyme substrate complex. Forming enzyme substrate complex. This is the function of the sucrase. And this is how the structure is related to the function. The students made an extract of sucrase from yeast cells, investigated the activity at different pHs. Okay. They determined the rate of reaction at each pH. Then they calculated the rate of each reaction as a percentage of the fastest reaction. This is the graph he gave you. What was the question? Describe and explain the effect of pH on the activity of sucrase. The first part of the question was the description question and then the explanation. Okay, what am I going to say? I'm going to describe the data in front of me. What happens as the pH increases? Okay, the activity increases then decreases. This is the general trend. The peak activity was at pH 6. This is also a description. Okay. What about the explanation? What about the explanation? Um, at pH 6, why is there maximum activity? Because this is the optimum pH. So what about extreme pHs? The optimum is at 6. So if you're talking about pH 2 or pH 12, there is less activity. Why there is less activity? Because the enzyme starts to denatures, loses its shape, loses its active site, cannot fit the substrate anymore. This is my explanation. I will first describe percentage activity increases and decreases. Maximum activity was at 100 degrees at pH 6. Minimum activity was 8%. This is the description of the graph. And then I will explain maximum activity was at 6 because this is the optimum pH. Extreme pHs, the enzymes denature. The active site changes its shape, cannot fit the substrate anymore, not complementary, no enzyme substrate complex. Right. Question 2, mammals have double circulation. Figure 2.1 is a diagram of a section through the heart of the mammal. Section through the heart. The arrows shows the direction of blood flow through the heart and the blood vessels. What was the question? Easy question. Name the chamber with the thickest wall. Thickest wall, of course, this is the left ventricle, thickest wall. D is the vein. What vein is here by the right atrium and it looks like a straight line? This is the vena cava. This straight line is the vena cava. Why? How does the vein look like? Describe its structure. How does it look like? It has wide lumen, thin walls, it has valves, the general description of the vein. This is the structure of the vein. Okay, identify the structure labeled X and state its role. Where is X? Let's see, where is X? Here is X. This structure. What is X and what is its role? Structure X is inside the pulmonary artery, so it is a semilunar valve. What does it do? Allows the blood to flow in one direction, prevents backflow. Allows it to flow in one direction and prevents backflow. Okay. Figure 2.2 is a diagram, shows the double circulation of the mammal. The arrows indicates the movement of oxygen and carbon dioxide. Shade the blood vessel that transports highest oxygen concentration. So it will be the pulmonary vein. Why did I choose the pulmonary vein? Because it brings the oxygen directly from the lungs to the heart. It is not used anywhere yet. This is why it has the highest oxygen concentration. Okay. Describe the evidence that shows that the mammal has double circulatory system. Why did I say that the mammals have double circulatory system? The first reason is to say, what is the double circulation? That the blood enters and then leaves the heart once and then enters from here, leaves from here. So it enters and leaves the heart twice in each complete circulation, from the right side and from the left side. This means that the heart is divided into two sections. It acts as the double pumps, pump from both sides. Also, you have two circulations. There is the pulmonary circulation between the heart and the lungs, and there is the systemic circulation between the heart and the body. So, what is your evidence that this is a double circulatory system? Heart is divided into two sides. Blood passes through the heart twice in each circulation. There are two separate circulations, pulmonary circulation and systemic circulation. Explain the advantages of double circulation. The advantages of the double circulation. Why is this better for humans or for mammals in general? Number one, it prevents mixing of the oxygenated and deoxygenated. As we said, the heart acts as a double pump, uh, right side and left side. It maintains high blood pressure. The left side always have higher blood pressure in order to reach all your organs. Allows good blood supply carrying oxygen and glucose. It allows the blood to go from the right side to the lungs to bring oxygen, then return back and give it another push to go to the body with high pressure. At the same time, there is low pressure to the lungs, so we do not damage the blood vessels of the lungs. Okay. Question 3. Pancreas is an organ that has roles in the digestive and the hormonal systems. State the names of the organs J, K, and L. Easy question, just the labels. This is the liver, this is the gallbladder, and this is the duodenum or the small intestine. If you write both, they are accepted. The pancreas secretes hormones and enzymes into the pancreatic duct. Complete the table. What are the hormones? Of course, they are the insulin and glucagon. What are the enzymes? Lipase, protease, amylase, which is the enzymes in the pancreatic juice. Enzymes in the pancreatic juice. Okay. Chloride ions move along the pancreatic duct. Okay. The CFTR protein in the cells lining the pancreatic duct move the chloride ions out of the cells into the duct. This is what happens. The chloride ions move out of the cells into the duct. This is the pancreatic duct, the lumen of the duct. This is the diagram of a cell from the lining of the duct showing the location and the activity of the CFTR proteins. The question was, how does the chloride ions move across the membranes? You have two hints in this picture. I have two hints in the picture. The first hint is that I can see the molecules passing through the proteins in the cell membrane. Number two, I can see that here I have low concentration and on the other side I have high concentration. So what happened? The molecules move from low to high. Which process is this? Automatically I will say active transport from low concentration to high concentration using energy from respiration through the protein in the cell membranes. Okay, the movement of the chloride ions causes the water to move from the cells into the duct. Explain how water moves into the duct. Again, this is the same as what we took because of the what happens due to the cholera pathogen, which attaches to the small intestine. It makes the cell releases chlorides. Okay, what happens when the chloride is in the small intestine? Chlorides are minerals that are dissolved, so it will lower the water potential. And how will the water move? Water moves always by osmosis. The same happens here. When there is a lot of chloride, so it will lower the water potential, and inside the cells it will be high water potential. Water will move out of the cells by osmosis down the potential gradient through the partially permeable membrane. يبقى chloride lowers the water potential. Water moves by osmosis down the potential gradient through partially permeable membrane. He then jumped to another chapter, the inheritance chapter. If the CFTR proteins do not move chloride ions, the liquid in the pancreatic duct becomes very sticky and the duct can become blocked. Blocked ducts are one effect of cystic fibrosis, which is an inherited disease. Careful, he did not say that it is sex linked. It is just an inherited disease. Just an inherited disease, not sex linked. Okay? So you do not have to put XX and XY and the allele on the X. No, we don't do this because this is not a sex linked. It is only an inherited disease. Cystic fibrosis is caused by a mutation of the gene that codes for the CFTR proteins. This is a pedigree of the family. Two of them have cystic fibrosis. These two have cystic fibrosis. Okay, the question was, the allele that causes the fibrosis is a recessive allele. Since it is a recessive allele, I am sure that person 5 and person 7, their genotype is homozygous recessive. This is the only way they can be diseased. Describe and explain the evidence shown that cystic fibrosis is caused by recessive allele. Again, what makes me sure in cystic fibrosis is recessive? Because their parents are normal. How do normal parents give birth to a child with cystic fibrosis? Both of them must be heterozygous. They are normal, but they have their recessive allele hidden within their genotype. So these babies, they took the recessive from here, they are homozygous recessive, and they have the condition. But what is my explanation? Parents 2 and 3 do not have cystic fibrosis. This means that they are heterozygous, one dominant allele, one recessive allele. The babies took a recessive allele from each parent. Okay. Person 7 is expecting a child with a man who is heterozygous, whereas person 7 is diseased. He has the condition. So I am sure that he is homozygous recessive. Homozygous recessive breeds with a heterozygous person. Heterozygous means that it has one letter capital, one letter small. Okay, and then I separate the gametes and then I do the crossing 1 with 3, one with the fourth option, second with the third, second with the fourth option. These these are my genotypes. A capital, A small, A small, A small, A capital, A small, A small, A small. Okay. What are the phenotypes of these babies? This is a carrier. This is diseased, has cystic fibrosis, another carrier, and this is disease. So what is the probability that they give birth to a child with cystic fibrosis? It is 50%. 50% they will give a birth to a child with cystic fibrosis. Okay. Question 4. Researchers investigated the effect of adding cattle manure, which is the feces of the cows and the animals. They added the feces to the fields where snap bean plants were grown. The cattle manure contains some proteins. Explain how the protein in the cattle manure is converted to a type of ions that the plant can absorb. The first thing to think about is what does the plant absorb? What do the plant absorb from the soil? They absorb nitrates. So the question here is asking you, how does the protein in the feces of the cattle is converted to nitrates? How is the proteins in the feces converted into nitrates? The first step is the proteins are broken down into amino acids by decomposition by the bacteria and the fungi, and then the amino acids are deaminated, which it converts the amino acids into ammonia, and then the ammonia passes through nitrification by the nitrifying bacteria, which changes it to nitrites and then nitrates. The nitrates are absorbed by the plant at the end for protein synthesis. Snap bean plants are legumes which have root nodules that contains nitrogen fixing bacteria. Remember, the nitrogen fixing bacteria, it brings the nitrogen, it fixes the nitrogen in the air and converts it to ammonium in the soil, from the air to the soil. Suggest the advantage of the farmers of having the plants that have large number of root nodules. Why would this be beneficial to the farmer? Legumes which have root nodules, they carry out nitrogen fixation, so they naturally increase the nitrates in the soil. Naturally increase nitrates in the soil. Why would this be beneficial to the farmer? Because he will use less fertilizers, buy less fertilizers. Okay, the researchers investigated the effect of adding cattle manure to the fields of snap bean dragons. Field 1 was treated with a small quantity of manure, field 2 medium quantity, field 3 large quantity, and field 4 no manure. And then they counted the number of root nodules on the samples of the plants from each field when the snap beans were harvested. This is field 1, 2, 3, and 4. The first question was a regular question. Calculate the percentage increase per plant when the snap bean were grown with large quantity of cattle manure compared with no cattle manure. Percentage increase. Percentage increase. So, how much did it increase? So, this is your initial number and this is your final number. I will get the difference between the two numbers over the initial number times 100. Again, I want to calculate the percentage increase. So I got the difference between the two numbers over the smaller number times 100. This is what it gave me. He wants it to the nearest two significant figures. So 62.5, it will be 63%. When large quantities of manure are put on fields, it can lead to eutrophication. Describe this leads to death of fish. How does the eutrophication lead to death of fish? How does manure in the water, which is like sewage, it's the same as sewage, it is the feces, okay? So the sewage or the manure or the fertilizers, if they go into the water, this provides lots of minerals in the water. So increased minerals absorbed by the algae, it grows on the surface, blocks the surface, so no light available for the plants underwater, no photosynthesis, the plants will die, decompose by the bacteria. The bacteria will increase, respire aerobically, and consume all the oxygen. This is what causes the death of fish. If all the oxygen is finished, the fish will die. The Mulangi cedar, where he gave me the binomial name, is the national tree of Malawi. This species of tree grows naturally on Mount Mulangi in Malawi. Many of these trees have been over-harvested or destroyed by wildfires, resulting in deforestation. What is the genus? Of course, the genus is the first name in the binomial name. The first name, capital letter, this is the genus. The second name is the species. You do not need to memorize it. It's already given. Explain the undesirable effects of deforestation on the habitats that there are on mountains. Again, what were the effects of the deforestation? Soil erosion, because there is no roots to hold the soil. Also, soil is not there anymore, so it does not absorb the rainwater, causing floods. Loss of biodiversity because of extinction of the species. You destroyed their habitat, so the species will extinct. More carbon dioxide in the air, causing global warming and enhanced greenhouse effects. Scientists in Malawi are working to prevent the extinction of the Mulangi cedar tree. Explain the benefits to other organisms of conserving the trees in the habitat. What is the benefits of conserving the trees? يبقى the importance of conservation is protecting everything. First of all, how would this, when you protect the tree, benefits to other organisms? It is used as a habitat for other organisms, so you will maintain the habitat. Used as a food source, used to maintain the carbon cycle and the water cycle, okay? Used as sources for fuel, the humans can use the wood for as fuel, okay? So how would conservation benefit you? These are the ways how they benefit. The seeds of many endangered tree species are kept in seed bank. Why is it important to collect the seeds from many individual trees rather than just one tree? This question could also come talking about the captive breeding for animals. When we do the captive breeding in zoo, you have to choose the animals from different populations, not from the same population. يعني not from مثلا a brother and a sister panda. They have to be preferably from different population. Why is this? We have to take them from different populations in order to increase the variation. I want the offspring to be variable. There's a lot of variation between them, okay? So they're able to adapt to the changing environment and allow evolution. Allow evolution and adaptation to the changing environment. Also, so that there is less probability of diseases. If they are from the same population or from the same family, this increases the risk of genetic diseases or inherited diseases. So here, if you take them from different population, you are decreasing the probability of disease. Okay. The last question, easy question, flow diagram showing the events that occur to form a human fetus. The ovary has a diploid cell. Organ P has another diploid cell, which forms the sperm. Of course, organ P will be the testis of the male. Okay, process Q. What is the process that forms the haploid cells? It will be meiosis. This is the process that forms the gametes, the sperms and the egg cells. And then the sperm and the egg cell fuse together for forming another diploid cell. This is the fertilization process. The cell that is formed will be the zygote, which is the first cell in the baby. It is diploid, it has full number of chromosomes. What happens is process T, then process U, embryo, and then fetus type. Let's see. Um, let's see the sentences so we can understand. Again, as we said, organ P is the testis, cell S, the first cell in the baby, is the zygote. Process Q that produces haploid sperms and eggs is the meiosis. Process R, which produced the zygote, is the fertilization. Process T occurs so that the cell S can grow into the embryo. Process T occurs so it grows. Growth happens by mitosis. Mitosis is the cell division that causes growth. But what is the last sentence? Process U occurs so that the embryo can gain oxygen and nutrients from the mother's blood. What happens to the embryo so it can gain oxygen and nutrients? It implants in the lining and then it starts growing more and more, forming a fetus. So here, or a process U occurs so that the embryo gains oxygen and nutrients from the mother's blood, it will be implantation. Okay. State why is it important that the sperm and the eggs are haploid so that when they fuse together, they maintain the number of the human chromosomes, which is 46, and the chromosomes will not double at fertilization. I do not want the chromosomes to be 92. I just want the sperm 23, egg cell 23 fused together to maintain the number. What is the function of the jelly coat? The function of the jelly coat is that it protects the contents inside the egg cell, okay, and it prevents the entry of more than one sperm into the egg cell as it hardens after the entry of the first sperm. After one sperm enters, it hardens. Okay, this was an easy question. The placenta provides large surface area for the diffusion of oxygen and carbon dioxide. Any gases that moves inside the body moves by diffusion. Dissolved nutrients also pass across the placenta, such as amino acids, glucose, vitamins, and minerals. Antibodies also pass from the mother to the baby. This is passive immunity to the baby, passive immunity because the baby takes ready-made antibodies for some infections that the mother has had or been vaccinated. Each different type of vaccine contains one or more antigen taking from the pathogen that causes disease. The vaccine had weak pathogen or the antigens of the pathogen because it gives artificial active immunity.